Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to Farming Simulator 19, and welcome back to Geiselsberg map. We're making progress. Every time I think I'm almost done with this field conversion project, I realize there's something else to do. Not a big deal. I mean, it's farming, right? That's the whole point. So, let's do a couple things. We've got our FS19 on a cultivator. I did spray one layer of slurry on this field after I plowed it, after we create fields plowed it. I did spray one layer of slurry on it. Then I took our hook lift truck back down and refilled it. And we ran out on the first layer, and I did need to add a few thousand more liters from down at the dairy farm. So what I did was took our little MB track. Where is it? There it is. I took our little MB track and I rented another sprayer just for €1,000 or something. Just €1,000, like I'm throwing around money now. And I put another few thousand liters in there. So we'll be able to do this. We'll be able to get our second layer of fertilizer on this field without making another trip down to the dairy. I wanted to keep things moving a little bit. He's still got a ways to go. Let me show you one thing. And actually, we need to got a fence here now. I mean, I guess we could hop over it, but let's try to be legit. We'll go out through the gate here. So there is one other thing that I want to do, and we can do that. We'll do it on camera, but first I'll show you this. So we are making wool, and we are stacking it. We had a little skid steer down at the dairy farm. I brought it up here, and I actually traded it out for a slightly different model. I brought it up here because we've got wool pallets spawning in here. It's kind of hard to get to with a front loader on a tractor. I thought a skid steer would be perfect for moving those out and storing them under the awning until they're ready to take down and sell them when we have a good price. And we don't have a need for the skid steer down at the dairy anymore because we have the animal helper mod. So we don't have to clean up floor food anymore. And I was using the skid steer for that. It didn't really work too well in the beef area, or what I'm using as the beef area. There's that slightly bugged out area where you can't quite get the last of the food up off the floor. And I assume that will be fixed in V1.2. Right. Let's go here. And we're going to do some important stuff. First, I'm going here, and let's turn off grass just to neaten things up a little bit. So this field right here, field 6.3, we can sell for 557,000 euro. We can also sell field 4.5 for 83,000 and field 6.2. I'm going to go ahead and sell these right now, and I'll tell you why. We got value from them. Well, we didn't have to buy field 4.5. We owned that when we started the map. But I believe we've got value from all these fields. Maybe not this one. Maybe not because it's so small, but this one definitely. We got 150 bales out of that. So we're okay. Now, what do we want to buy? Because we have all this area up here is grass. And again, I don't know if you have the cursor, so let me zoom in so you know what I'm talking about. This field to the east, all the way to the east, this one right here, we're going to get a ton of grass out of there. This is all grass through here now, right? And when I combine all those visually, I think the combined size of those three fields is comparable in size to field 6.3, which gave us 150 bales at, 4,000 liters a piece. So that's 600,000 liters of silage, of grass to make silage. So if this gives us 600,000, this area up here to the north, or even 500,000, we're really going to be feeding our BGA quite a bit of silage, right? I think we're going to be okay. And I don't like the idea of driving from one corner of the map to the other with grass. Also, this field is irregularly shaped, field 6.3. It's kind of funny shape to it, and it's got trees in it. It's got power poles. So I'm thinking these fields right here is where it's at, right? Because they're square, mostly, and they're sort of connected to fields that we already own rather than being across the highway. Now, I did think about this field right here, field 3, right? It's right across the highway. Well, it's not even a highway. It's like a farm lane. It's right across the farm lane from our BGA. No problem for trucks to get in there. We wouldn't have to deal with traffic or anything. It's expensive, but are we going to be making, this is going to sound weird to say, are we going to be making too much grass and too much silage and too much money, right? Are we going to take the fun out of the game? I'd rather use these fields down here for arable crops, and so we buy them. And we buy that one. Now they're both fallow right now. They have nothing in them. And we've got a whole lot of canola to harvest in these fields right through here. So I may plant these with canola and let them mature before the next episode. I may not, right? And then we've also got the possibility of taking out some of the trees and bushes and hedges and combining this into essentially one gigantic field. TBD. Don't know yet. Don't know yet. So let's see how this Deutz 9 is doing right now. We'll get done cultivating this. We'll spray more slurry on here, and we'll at least get started seeding this with grass. And then next episode, I think we really do need to harvest some canola because it's been there for so long. And we've been focused on this field for, what, 3 episodes now? Almost 4. So I think it's time to... Sir? Where are you going? There he is. I think it's time to bring that canola in. And because we keep adding fields to it, that canola's got to be worth 400,000 euro. I mean, we have no money problems anymore. And we're almost at a point where we can begin becoming a little reckless, and I don't want to do that. For instance, we don't own a combine harvester at the moment. I've been leasing, and it's 30 to 40,000 euro to lease, but it's 300,000 to 500,000 to buy a combine harvester. I don't think we've harvested 10 times, so we're sort of a net positive by leasing a combine harvester. We're going to be making close to 100,000 euro a day in passive income from the wind turbine and the solar panels, plus our income from the BGA. So at a point not too distant in the future, we're going to be making money faster than we can spend it. And at that point, I still want to continue to play as a realistic farmer. I don't just want to start buying things and throwing money around. You know what I mean? I don't want to become I don't want to start clowning. I want to continue to farm as realistically as we have been in the past. Or, try to be realistic. So that's where we're at. Tell you what, he's got a little bit more. Yeah, let's do this. Let's hop out and we can start spraying while our 9 is still cultivating. Farming accident. So let's hop in here. You know what? Let's use the MB track first. No, we won't because you haven't seen this operating yet. I did that off camera last episode. So zoom out a little bit. Brake is off. Let's back the cruise control down. So I think that makes sense. I think it does. There is equipment that I want to buy, but let's keep it realistic even when we have the money because, even something like the wind turbines, they're crazy expensive, but we sort of have room for them now. And as you add more, every wind turbine that you add adds 25,000 euro a day in passive income. It's quite a bit of money. You put 2 more of those in, right? You're talking about 50,000 euro a day. You're talking about over $250,000 a week. Really, I don't want to say for doing nothing, but sort of for doing nothing. It's just that income is just generating no matter what you do. So if we invest that money in, say, a combine harvester, we will make money from it. But if we invest it in a wind turbine, we'll definitely make money from it. Does that make sense? I think it does. So I don't just want to start throwing money around, even though I want to, of course. So we may or may not buy a combine harvester. And I think sometimes the smartest investment might be another truck or another type of farm truck. I know some cool mods have dropped various types of farm trucks, and I think with all that canola or whatever it is we put in those arable fields down to the south, as big as those fields are, maybe the best investment, rather than spending over $250,000 on a combine harvester, maybe the best investment would be a truck of some kind, so that we can do something with the crop after we get it out of the ground, or so we can get it out of the ground faster. So there's plenty of options. And, you know, at all times, I want to try to be a good, realistic farmer. That's my goal. Right, so I'm going to cut in this area right here before we head back down. This little spot right in the middle. And I think some of this is not going to take fertilizer because it's been fertilized twice, as we were sort of messing about off camera. Right, and why, that's no good. Moment, please. So park this right here. Set the brake. Why did our Deutzfahr give up? Buddy. Come on, man. You got to be motivated in this life, son. Right in here. Right in here. And, you know, the other thing we can do is also, we can buy animals. All right. It's looking good. Get to work. There we go. There he goes. We can buy animals, too. I mean, animals are so expensive. I'm in the habit of buying a few and just letting them breed, letting them reproduce. But we could buy animals, too. Expensive as they are, once you get enough of them, they start making you money. And the sheep in particular really don't require a lot of love and attention. You just throw some food at them periodically, because our animal helper mod does not feed them. It just does everything else. It cleans up after them. Brake is off. Cruise control. Here we go. It cleans up after them, it waters them, and in the case of pigs and cows, it spreads straw for them. You still have to feed them, but with the sheep, I mean, you throw a bale in there periodically, throw a bale of grass, bale of hay, and they're happy as can be. And they just, all they do is make sheep and wool, make you money. So maybe we buy, you know, 50 more sheep or 100 more sheep or whatever. That's what we did on Holzer, and we ended up with, I think we had about 200 sheep by the time we closed out that map. So there's different options, but all of them, I hope. What's going on over there, sir? I don't want to have to finish this manually. We might have to. I don't know why I keep stopping. Everything seems to check out. All right. And go. I'm not giving up on my helper. All right, there you go. Plus, I want to keep spraying. Keep things moving forward. So that is a possibility. Buy more animals. Think about that as well. Brake is off. Pump is on. Cruise control. Here we go. And what else? Trying to think. Yeah, that's about it. Now, I did look at, and I'll pop the map up in the corner here. I did look at, if you can see down there, it's kind of small, but the field, or the forest rather, north of field 5, 11, and 15, I think is 380,000 euro. And I thought, I mean, we could buy that. We had good luck with this field. We made money from it, and we converted it to grass. And that field, or that I keep saying field, that forest rather, to the north of field 5, 11, and 15 is also more or less connected to our BGA. So as with this field, all of the trucks, as they filled up with the grass, whether they're loading wagons, God, I have no idea why that keeps stopping. It seems like it's a pretty straightforward task, but we'll just have to finish it manually. The trucks from that, if we were to buy that forest and convert it to grass, the trucks would be, as with this field, very close to the BGA, so it would be a pretty efficient process. And at that point, I mean, that's almost, like I said, too much grass, because we've got the biggest placeable bunker that we can buy. And I don't know, I guess we could check the capacity on it. We'll do that. When I get to the end of this row, we'll check the capacity on that bunker. I want to say it's at least 250,000. I don't know. Right, so we'll get down here, and I think we're going to park this up for a minute and get rid of that. Park this up for a minute and figure out what's going on with our cultivator. Right. So now we go over here. Sir, You really can't get good help these days. You can't get good helper these days. All right. So we hop in here. And we'll just do this manually. Now, you know the other thing I've been sort of testing in base game, and I hope it will work. I'd like to get course play going a lot more. And where I really noticed it was driving back and forth to set things up on this map. So driving the MB track from the farm up to the store to pick up that little sprayer that we leased. Then driving it back to the farm to fill it, then driving it all the way back up here. I think I need to lay in some point-to-point courses with course play. And for some maps, I believe there's one for Holzer. I know there's one for Hofbergman. And I know there are also packs for auto drive, which it's similar to course play. It's got some of the same features as course play, but then it's got some different ones. But I know you can get packs of, well, courses. There's no other way to describe them, I guess. But it's somebody has taken the time to go in and create courses for maps, typically German maps, I think, is where you see it most. But it's all the courses. So once you throw that file in, you don't have to build any of the courses yourself. You can just select from the store to the farm, from the farm to the store, whatever. I need to do that manually and create some courses, like from the dairy to the store, from the store to the sheep, to the BGA, what have you. And I got to thinking, we can, I don't want to spoiler alert too much, but when we harvest canola, because we have so much of it, I'd like to lease 2 combine harvesters and really try to utilize course play to have, well, we'd have about a half a dozen vehicles going at once, if we can make it work. So, set the brake. We're going to leave that running. Oy! And our sprayer is all the way down at the other end. I didn't plan that very well. But you know what? So it goes. So that will be, if I can make that work, and I have in the past. I definitely have in the past. I made it work in 15 with course play. Really had no idea what I was doing. I made it work in 17, and course play is like, the more I learn about it, the worse it works for me. But it could just be that as it gets more and more sophisticated, it gets harder to use. I don't know. But I know I have done it in the past, where you've got 2 combine harvesters. Now, I'll typically put those on a worker rather than on course play. And then I'll have cruise control and spray. And then I'll have 2 grain carts tending to, concentrating, 2 grain carts tending to the combine harvesters, and then 2 or 3 or 4 tippers running a circuit, running a loop. So if you set it up properly, essentially they pull up to a stop point, which is near or in your fields that you're harvesting. And they wait there until they're full, or until they're a certain percentage of full. So you've got your combine harvesters doing what they do on a basic worker. You've got your grain carts connected to the harvesters, and they're running a loop back and forth to a set point where they empty into where the tippers are waiting. And then when the tippers are full, they run a loop either to a silo or to a sell point. It sounds complicated. It's really not. You only need to build one course, and then you can put multiple vehicles on the same course. But when it all works, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, when it all works, it is absolutely amazing. And that's when you go up on the roof of the barn and just look out at your empire. Look out at your creation. It's very cool. I like course play. It's, let's be positive. It's a Monday. Let's be positive. I don't know how some of the features of course play are not in base game. I really feel like they should be. At the very least, and I understand that it's possible that it's an incredibly complicated task, and I'm throwing it out there like, oh, why don't they just, well, the reason they don't just whatever is because it's really hard to do. It's really hard to code that. But I would love to see a feature where, like this hook lift truck that we're in right now, that we could open a menu and say, go to the dairy or go to field whatever. And there would be a, I don't know, more or less a modified courseplay script where it would first disable crop destruction. Then it would drive to the center of this field that we're in. And from there, it would drive to a known point, right? A known departure point. Pump is off. Flip around here. And once it's at that known departure point, from there, it can get on a road and just make its way down to the next known point where it pulls up to another known arrival point, stops there and flashes up a little message that says your hook lift trailer has arrived at the whatever. Sounds simple. They're not quite able to pull it off in cattle and crops, or at least they weren't the last time I played it. The AI was still prone to sort of doing AI stuff like driving off across the map and, you know, nothing, or just running up against a tree and staying there, not moving. So I know it's difficult to code. And even something like courseplay, you can set courseplay up, say a point-to-point course. You can set courseplay up, build a point-to-point course, go from here to there. And it works fine with one vehicle. But it does not work well with another vehicle because it's wider, because it's narrower, because it's faster. Who knows? Then you got traffic, and now you've got placeables. I suppose you always did have placeables, but it's like you've got a different kind of placeable now. Hop in here. All right, like so. How are we doing on time? 22 minutes. Perfect. We'll start seeding grass today, but I don't think we'll finish. That's all right. So let's go right up here. Right about here. Yeah, perfect. So I get it. You know, if it was easy, they would have already done it. And then you get into some of the scripting stuff where some activities, some, I don't want to call them mods if they're base game, but some features, I guess it's a good way to say it, require scripts, and consoles don't like scripts. Console developers don't like you running scripts on their machine. Some of them won't even allow it. So, you know, why was Seasons not in FS19? Possibly because of scripts. Now, is there a workaround for that? Maybe. But then you get into the whole money thing, right? Which is the classic, you know, you buy a race team and you tell your engineer, I want to go fast. And your engineer says, cool, how much money do you have? Because in racing, how fast you can go very often depends on how much money you have. So something like, you know, hey, can't we find a workaround to run Seasons or something like Seasons on console? If you don't want it, you can turn it off. But for people that do want it, it would be available. Could we build something like Seasons in a way that consoles would permit us to include it? Yeah, I'm sure you could. You could land somebody on the moon if you wanted to. It would just cost you X amount of dollars. And if you don't have that money to put into it, or if you don't feel it's worth it to invest that amount of money in it, then it ain't going to happen. So there's plenty of things that I can think of to include in Farm Sim. And for one reason or another, they just aren't in Farm Sim. It could be a good reason. Could be no reason at all. It could be that the developer just doesn't care. Who knows? But for now, we work with what we got. And what we got is courseplay. And it is simultaneously the most awesome and the most frustrating mod. Right. So we're going to head down here. We'll do this last little bit. We'll get our grass seeder started. And then we'll call it. And I think, yeah, next episode, this grass will be, well, it's fertilized and it's going to be growing. So next episode, we will have to bring in that canola, and I will most likely put canola in those 2 fields we bought. So we will have, I don't know, hopefully all the canola. And I've been paying on our loan a little bit at a time, but mostly I've been thinking about investing. Like with what we got selling that big field down in the southeast corner of the map, we could have paid off 60% of our loan. I'd rather invest money right now than pay money. And it seems weird because we're growing so much. You know, we're not really a small farm anymore, but we really are. We're not that big a farm. So I'm going to leave this running, but we've got a lot of vehicles running, and they've cooled down now. So, turn that off. Come over here and turn this off. There we go. And we'll hop in here. And yeah, we'll just do a couple lengths and we'll call it. What's the width on this? Go here. We go here. Where is it? Ah, you know what? It's leased. It's leased. 6 meters. Okay. So then if we go here and we say 6 meters. All right. Like so. Brake is off. We'll come over here. I heard an engine running. I thought it was this engine. It was not. So we'll come over here. And we'll do like this here. This is fairly straight right here. We're going to come up to the edge of the field. We're going to get on exactly 270. We're going to reset. And then we're going to lock that in. But then we're going to break out of that row. Come back here. I know I'm driving on a field that we just cultivated. Probably not a good idea. But, you know. Right. So let me come over here. Get on that one. Set the cruise control right about here. There we go. Turn that on. Here we go. And we are planting grass. Yeah, yeah, I forget that sometimes. I have planted canola in a grass field. I've planted grass in a canola field. Any mistake that you can make in this game, I've made it at some point. Typically more than once. How are we doing on time? 20, coming up on 28 minutes. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll just do a couple rows just to give you an idea, and then we will call it. And when we come back next time, we'll be getting ready to harvest canola with, I don't know, like a dozen people, a dozen vehicles. It's going to be a scene, man. It's going to be a scene. If it works, if I can pull it off. Who knows? Right. And I filled this thing at the store. I don't know if I needed to, but all this equipment uses, it goes through seed at different rates, so I figured, again, right, like I'm throwing money around. I'll fill it. It's leased. I mean, we could empty it before we return it, but I'll most likely just return it with whatever seed is in it so we don't have pallets laying around. So it is funny that, you know, we went from worrying about money to being a bit reckless with money. Drive through the bushes. Get in this row. There it is. Square it up a little bit. There we go. And I think, yeah, might be a good opportunity to call it. Zoom in here. Beautiful. Let's call it. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 19. This is the Geiselsberg map. We'll see you next time. Take care now.